The Chicago Bears are headed to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio to take on the Houston Texans in the Hall of Fame game tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central. What should we look out for in this game? Who's going to win? Watch this video to hear my thoughts. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears preseason prediction video, which I'll be doing before and after every single preseason game. After the game, I'll be having a reaction video and breaking down what we saw in the game. That video should be posted shortly after the game is over. And yeah, I'm so excited to talk about an actual football game. Okay, enough talking about practice. Now we're going to be playing actual football games. And they're not actual football games entirely, right? Because it is only preseason. We don't care too much about if the Bears win or lose these games. The Bears could go 0-4 for all I care. As long as the starters are healthy, as long as the backups got some playing time, got some good reps in. That's all I really care about. Preseason is only about getting practice for the regular season and also seeing what you have at the back end of your roster. A lot of the backups are going to be fighting for their lives in these preseason games to prove to the Bears coaching staff that they have what it takes to make the Bears 53-man roster. And that's what I love about preseason. Obviously, these games don't matter that much, but it's so cool to see these guys really fighting for their lives and really, putting a lot of effort in, right? Like, even though these are games that nobody really cares about that much, you can't tell that to the players that are playing in them, especially in the fourth quarter of a game, because this could be the last chance that some of them ever have to play the game of football. If you weren't a high draft pick, you really have to fight and claw your way to get any playing time in the NFL, and staying in the NFL is even harder. So really big opportunity for a lot of these back of the roster guys. And as I mentioned yesterday in my video, none of the starters for the Chicago Bears will be playing, okay? So Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, starting offensive line, starting defense, all these guys will not be playing in this game. And I agree with that decision simply because we have 3 more games for Caleb to actually play, and he should be playing in those games. There's really no benefit to putting Caleb out there against the Texans backups. The Texans also will not be playing any starters, so it's going to be the battle of the backups in this game. And I just don't think there was so much to be gained by Caleb going out there against the Texans' 4th-string backups and scoring an easy touchdown. Like, what is that going to prove? It's just going to be exciting for us fans, but Caleb is not going to get that much better as a quarterback by playing one drive against the Texans' backups. And the field conditions could be pretty rough in this game because there is rain scheduled in the forecast tomorrow for Canton. So keep an eye on the forecast to see if the game is delayed at all or if the game is even played. I think it should be played as long as there's no like crazy lightning or anything, but the field conditions could be a little bit slippery, which is all the more reason not to put your starters out there. But yeah, talking about this matchup, I'm not going to talk about it in too much detail because obviously it's vanilla offense versus vanilla defense. There's not really going to be a whole lot of strategy involved in this game, but I just kind of want to point out which players you should be paying attention to on the Chicago Bears roster, players to watch out for, and kind of looking at the Texans players and who's going to be playing on their side as well. And talking about the quarterback battle, first of all, it's going to be Tyson Bagent versus Davis Mills. And we are very familiar with Davis Mills. He is the reason why we have Caleb Williams on the roster, why we have DJ Moore on the roster. His infamous performance against the Colts in 2022, the last game of the year, was why the Bears got the #1 overall pick and why they turned that into the absolute haul that they eventually got from the Carolina Panthers. So if any Bears fans are going to this game, be sure to say hi and thank you to Davis Mills for what he did for our franchise. But talking about the Bears quarterback, yeah, Tyson Bagent is going to be starting. I'm not sure how long he's going to be playing. Probably a half of football if I had to guess. And these reps are pretty important for him because he is going to be the primary backup behind Caleb Williams this season, I'm assuming. And being a backup, you're not going to get the chance to really play in many live football reps. Playing a live football game that often unless your starting quarterback gets injured. So the more practice Tyson Bagent can get, the better for him if he ever has to come in for Caleb if he is hurt at any point in the future. I'll be interested to see what kind of stat line he has in this game. I think he could put up a pretty good stat line in only playing a half of football because he already has real NFL game experience from last year. And he did pretty decently in a couple of games, okay, for being an undrafted rookie quarterback last year. I want to see how Tyson Bagent has grown, how he's matured in the offseason. He said he grinded his absolute face off in the offseason. So I'm excited to see that really turn into, hopefully some good plays tomorrow for the Chicago Bears. And talking about the other quarterbacks the Bears will have, so Brett Rippon should be playing a little bit. Austin Reed, the undrafted quarterback from this year, also should be playing. I'm pretty sure Brett Rippon is going to win the QB3 job because he probably wants some type of veteran on the roster at quarterback, but I would not count Austin Reed out either because he's made a handful of decent plays in training camp working with the backups. It's going to be cool for him to get an opportunity to really play against some backups in the NFL to see if he can be the Tyson Bagent of this year for the Chicago Bears. But that's a quarterback spot. Looking at the running backs, we have suffered a lot of injuries at the running back spot in terms of our backups, so it seems like Demetric Felton will be starting for the Bears in this game. I kind of wish that Roschon Johnson got some carries in this game because he was not used a whole lot last year, but according to all the reports, it seems like Demetric Felton will be getting the majority of the carries for the Bears in this game. I will be curious to see if Velus Jones gets any carries because a couple days ago at training camp, Velus Jones saw some time at running back, so if the Bears want to experiment with that, this would be a good time to do so in preseason when the games don't matter, okay? If he's fumbling like crazy, then yeah, he's not going to be a running back ever for the Bears when the real games begin. But if he shows a little bit of promise, maybe you could give him a couple of carries when the real games start. Looking at the receivers, then I'm keeping my eye on. So obviously, Velus Jones will be playing. Tyler Scott also should be getting some good playing time in this game. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can come down with any big-time plays down the field. You know, really hang on to that football, track the ball. He struggled with doing that sometimes in the regular season. So hopefully he can, you know, show some promise in these preseason games. You know, we got guys like Dante Pettis also playing, John Jackson III, Caleb Williams' best friend, or one of his really good friends. He's going to be playing in this game. So if John Jackson III wants to make the Bears roster, he's going to have to, you know, really put on some strong performances in these games because I haven't heard too much of him in the training camp so far. And then looking at the tight ends, it's going to be Steven Carlson getting all of the playing time probably for the Bears because we don't really have any other young backups. Mercedes Lewis is like 55 years old. Gerald Everett is also getting a little bit older. He's been a little bit banged up so far in training camp. So Gerald Everett also is not going to be playing, and Nicole Kmet is a starter, obviously. And then looking at the offensive line, I'm mainly curious to see how Ja'Tari Carter does in this game. He's been a backup guard for the Bears so far in his NFL career, and he's been pretty decent for being a 6th-round pick. I want to see how much stronger he's gotten, if he's gotten any better, you know, over the offseason, because he could be playing at some point for the Bears with Nate Davis struggling with injuries and Ryan Bates, you know, just got here. He's never really been a full-time starter, so Ja'Tari Carter could be pretty valuable depth, and hopefully he has a pretty good game. But switching over to the defense then, the guys I'm most looking out for, some of them are on the defensive line. So Austin Booker, for sure, I'm going to be looking for, the 4th-round pick, or sorry, I think 5th-round pick from this year out of Kansas, who a lot of Bears fans are super high on. I want to see him really dominate in this game because he's going to be going up against some backup level tackles. And if he wants to be a starter in the NFL, you have to do really, really good against the backups. And he obviously is a raw player. He has a lot of growing to do, a lot of, you know, refinement to do in his technique. But if he can show a lot of promise for the Bears, maybe he could earn some starting snaps this year for Chicago. And looking at some other guys on that D-line, Zach Pickens, I want to see him do well in this game because we have heard basically nothing from Zach Pickens the entire training camp period, it seems like. Like, I've not even heard his name once in any report, or even when I went there, like, I didn't really notice him that much, right? And he was the first pick of the 3rd round for the Chicago Bears last year. So, you know, it's about time Zach Pickens also starts flashing and putting together some strong performances in the preseason. You know, if he really wants to be a part of this Bears defensive line rotation. Jacob Martin is another guy I'll be interested to see play because he's had a pretty strong training camp. He could be a rotational edge rusher for the Bears this upcoming season. Keith Randolph Jr. from Illinois, another guy I'll have my eye on, undrafted defensive tackle. Maybe Ryan Poles found another steal undrafted free agent. He's found one in every single year so far as GM. He found Jack Sanborn in year 1. He found Tyson Bagent in year 2. Maybe Keith Randolph Jr. could be that guy in year 3, or it could be cornerback Reddy Stewart, who I'll definitely have my eye on. This guy has been starting for the Bears in training camp in place of Kyler Gordon at nickel, so the Bears clearly have a lot of high hopes for him. I think he is on track to make the Bears roster, and if he does have a strong preseason performance, he's definitely going to make the Bears roster and probably make it over a guy like Greg Stroman Jr. But those are all the guys I'm really going to be looking out for. Also, Torrey Taylor, obviously, how can I forget him? I think Torrey Taylor should be playing in this game, and I cannot wait to see some booming punts from him. Hopefully not too many because I want the offense to do well, but a couple punts here and there I will be excited to see out of Torrey Taylor. And as for my score prediction for this game, who do I have winning? I have the Chicago Bears beating the Houston Texans by a score of 24-20. For no reasoning whatsoever, guys. Like, what reasoning could I possibly have for picking the Bears to win? It's going to be a bunch of backups playing. Like, it's impossible to give any analysis for this game. But if you look at the backups the Bears have right now, I feel like we have pretty good backups. Okay, Ryan Poles has added good quality backup talent because of how many picks he's had in the NFL draft over the past couple seasons. Okay, he's added a lot of high quality UDFAs as well. So I do think the Bears maybe in some areas have better backup talent than the Houston Texans do. I do trust Tyson Bagent more than I trust Davis Mills. So that's why I'll be picking the Bears to win. But obviously it could go either way. And I don't care if the Bears lose this game. I just want no injuries from either side. Leave your comments down below. What do you guys think is going to happen in this game? I'll be back with a post-game reaction right after the game ends. So be on the lookout for that. And as always, guys, bear down.